Hello, everyone, and welcome to this solo session. I'm Alison Murray. I'm a 3D designer for Helsinki Fashion Week. Um, I want to firstly say a big thank you to Helsinki Fashion Week for running all of this and having these live stream talks. They've been so nice. I've been listening to them all week and what everyone's up to with the traditional designers, the mentors, and the 3D designers. Um, Please feel free to ask questions throughout this whole thing. And as you can tell, I'm from the UK. I'm from Newcastle, which is like the northeast of England. So I have a bit of a strong accent. So you can tell me to slow down or speak clearly if you want as well. I guess something I define myself as now as a designer is a cyber tailor, clothing creator, and collaborator, and that kind of encapsulates my kind of love for making clothes, but also my digital speciality and my kind of collaborative workflow. And I just want to describe to you kind of where I'm from, what I've been up to, and what I've been up to for Helsinki Fashion Week, and maybe what's next. I'm from Newcastle, and I studied in. I finished high school in Costa Rica and United World College, and I guess it was a very alternative education, and it brought people from all around the world together, literally someone from every country in the world together to learn with and from each other. So I guess from then on, I kind of had a collaborative mindset or a definitely more open mindset. The world felt a bit smaller, which was really nice, more of like a community. And from there, I studied art, which I was really passionate about and thought I was going to go in more art route. And then I went to study psychology in Spain. But then I kind of dropped out and went to study fashion in Amsterdam Fashion Institute, which I graduated from last week. So that's where I've been the last 4 years. And that's where I really got into digital designing or digital work. I started out doing physical fashion designing. So there I really learned how to make like pattern construction, tech packs, style sheets, draping, you name it, all of that. And I actually did my internship a few years ago at Victor and Rolf doing couture. So I say I'm a digital designer, but I have a really strong background in like physical designing, physical outfits and craftsmanship actually. So in my internship I did a lot of hand sewing, a lot of meticulous sewing, a lot of ruffle making in that season. It was the fashion statements, a collection with the big bold dresses with the logos, a lot of tulle fabric that I still keep finding in my pockets somewhere. And then actually after that, I went on to do an exchange semester at Shankar College of Engineering, Art and Design in Tel Aviv, and that's kind of where I started all of my digital focus. I did a course called Fashion Technology, and it was really influential for me. It was we did a lot of kind of research into what this kind of means in fashion, and had amazing mentors, Isla and Maya, who really guided me through that. And I remember something they said that I kind of keep to this day, was that if someone else is, I don't know if they remember telling me this, but if they said if someone else is thinking about it, it probably means it's a good idea. And I think I keep that to me to this day. It's I think it's really about having this collaborative mindset. If someone else is thinking about it, it means that you're not alone in this, and you should reach out and you should grow together and you should collaborate and you should work on things together. You don't have to have the same route, but it's definitely about sharing ideas and being on the same track and collaborating moving forward. And this is kind of was my approach to Helsinki Fashion Week as well. They were offering this collaborative work with a traditional designer. So I worked with Maku, which is Marissa. She's based in Berlin and she's Peruvian. So I got to work with her and understand her business and digitize garments for her. And I think this is something that I loved about Helsinki Fashion Week. In Shankar, I actually used the program Unity to create augmented reality kind of patchwork on clothing, and it was a kind of message on how do we keep our individual stories, as maybe if fashion all becomes in a globalized society, if fashion all becomes like merged and there's less like individual fashion, but it's all kind of like uniform. and then how do we keep our stories. So I did like augmented reality patchwork. I'll show you that in a bit. And then after this, I went to Individuals, which is an in-house studio at Amsterdam Fashion Institute, and I was the 3D designer there. So I implemented, it was the first time I implemented digital work into the brand, and I made like using mainly clothes this time to develop some digital outfits and animations for the show. And the fashion show was a mix of physical and digital outfits playing together. And then I went on to my graduation collection this past kind of semester when coronavirus hit. And that was looking at our physical digital relationships. It was called Phygital. And it was the main kind of overarching theme was about digital responsibility and what does it mean going forward. And that was another reason why Helsinki Fashion Week was interesting for me, because they weren't just doing digital fashion or introduced digital designing, but they were also working to analyze what digital sustainability or responsibility is during this time, and what are the new kind of measures or things we can be looking at to kind of watch our digital sustainability and responsibility. So I know they're working with Normative to do that. So I thought that was a really interesting take that this Fashion Week had that maybe others didn't. So I'd like to share my screen and just share with you a few of these projects and talk you through what I was doing and the outcomes I got. So hopefully you can see it on the screen. This is all just on my website, so feel free to explore whenever you want. So this is the fashion technology course I did in Shankar. So as you can see, it uses the program Unity and then picks up like augmented reality targets to explain like different stories. So there's music on this that's not playing right now. But it was really about that interaction of the physical and the digital world and how we can use this digital world to enhance our storytelling and enhance what fashion or clothing can be. So yeah, that's when I first really started to use 3D software. And then this was some of the work at Individuals at Amsterdam Fashion Institute. You can see we created these animations and garments in Clo 3D, and then Marissa was someone who worked in Cinema 4D, and we kind of mixed the Clo 3D and Cinema 4D, and I kept that onto my graduation project. This flow between Clo 3D and Cinema 4D to like present and animate garments. But as you can see, I also did make some physical garments as well. So I'm not fully 3D designer. I still do love making clothes in physical as well. So there's just some pieces that I made. This one was on the left was actually made from an old evacuation plane slide that I got from this random warehouse in the Netherlands. So that was a really hard fabric to work with, but it was really interesting to work with as well, like an actual evacuation slide, and use the bits from it. And then I got some old knitted yarns and brushed them out to create this fur effect. So they're just like waist yarns. And then the jeans we sourced from hemp eco denim that were specially sourced. And then the green knit was knitted by my friend Tess from old green knit yarn stock. And then Phygital was my graduation collection. So on this website, you can see it's got a little showrooms that you can go around and zoom in and zoom out. But it was mainly 5 mini collections of evolving pieces. So the garments go from a physical piece to a more digital piece. And I highlighted 5 different physical to digital relationships that I found were really important during these turbulent times, and especially during the past months with coronavirus. And I think that is also a reason why I chose to go more digital, because I was in Amsterdam, I actually moved back to the UK. I'm in Edinburgh right now, in Scotland. So there was a lot of change happening. I think that was true for a lot of people. A lot of our creative spaces were being changed, a lot of us couldn't access resources or fabrics or materials, because I was actually going to do a physical and digital collection for my graduation. But I think the digital is something that always stays the same, and no matter where you go, your laptop doesn't change. You know, your laptop's still the same, and it was kind of my source of creativity during this time. So I really went into it more than ever before. So I actually wanted to show you. So this is what you're seeing now. It's like a little showroom. I just wanted to explain how that was kind of made in Cinema 4D. So you can see I've got a little setup. You're looking at it from like a bird's eye view right now. But you see, I've got them like, oh, I've gone underneath. But I've got them set up in a circle, all my garments. And you can see, yeah, the textures are down here. This is in Cinema 4D. And then you've got your like object panel at the right hand side. And how you do a very easy 3D digital showroom is that you insert a camera into the scene, which is from here, this camera button. So I've got this one here, camera, and then you've got all these different elements of the camera in this section here. And you've got spherical. And if you enable the spherical, that means you're going to take a picture like all the way around where the camera is. So I've placed it exactly in the center. And you make sure it's not on a rotation, because otherwise then you're going to get like the circle's it's going to be skewed. And once you have that, you can render the photo. But if you do a spherical showroom like this, you have to have it above 4,000. So right now I've actually got it on width 8,000, height 4,000. So your pixel minimum is 4,000 on one edge. I think that's something they don't really tell you, because you really need it's a very high quality piece to have this showroom. And even this, I think I should have gone higher, because it's still a bit blurry when you go in and out. But once you render that out, you get like a flat image. And then I uploaded it to Memento 360, but there's a lot of online 360 viewer platforms. So I just did that, and then you can embed that into your website. So this was the final product. So I used that again. This was another showroom I did. So this was the physical versions of all them outfits hanging out together in a little room. And they're all 1.5, 2 meters apart, so they're social distancing. But this was meant to represent kind of a physical, like an average physical space during coronavirus. So you got your masks and your gloves, your books, wine and cake to get you through it. But yeah, that was the same process for that. And I built a phygital process exhibition as well, using the same method. So it takes you through all the different elements of my project. I don't know if this might be a bit blurry on your screen, but this is actually me and my twin sister. So I'm an identical twin. So shout out to Sarah. And I think when I was doing this project, and I talked a lot with my teachers about this physical digital relationship and like the future of fashion, he was like, so why are you interested in the digital? What makes you want to be, what makes you open to the digital realm maybe more than others? And I thought, well, someone else pointed out to me, like, I'm an identical twin. So does that mean I'm kind of more open and more natural to the idea of like a multiplicity of yourself? So if I have a digital version of me, it's kind of like my twin. So maybe me being an identical twin means I'm more open to having digital selves, or the evolution, or like this kind of play between what is me or what is not me, but it's kind of like me. I think that's something interesting that I kind of noticed over these past months. And there's a kind of collection video here you can watch through, but it was really about, as you can see, jumping through kind of the screen into this creative space. So yeah, all my animations go from physical to digital. And in this digital space, I built this kind of environment based on a data center, because I had this whole research onto how kind of data centers might be the true fashion houses of digital fashion because they're the ones that hold all of the information. And also kind of here you can see I've highlighted file size and render times for each outfit. And I kind of say this is like the new care label because I did research into what would be the new digital fashion care label nowadays, because when we look at physical fashion, we kind of have this care label. We want to be transparent. We want to know what materials are made, where's it from, and I think in digital fashion that wasn't really translated. When I started my graduation project, I thought, yeah, do people want to know like the file size around the time? Do people want to know how I made this? Should that be transparent? So I did, and I think with file size and render times, they can have direct effects on. So file size is storage space, and render times is electricity use. And if you look at it like that, that can have negative environmental effects, especially electricity use and stuff like this. If everyone was to use the digital how they wanted, could it have negative environmental effects? Yeah, I think from my research I found that it could. So there is a sense that the digital, you can make whatever you want, and once you kind of grasp it, it's amazing that a tool to create whatever. But I think there is a sense of digital responsibility. There needs to be more just researched and more out there, more more common, or just more thought of. So this was like my kind of cloth fabric card. So for each of my materials I did experiments into which cloth 3D fabric was the most sustainable of the cloth 3D fabrics to use. So in cloth 3D you get there is a set fabric library of one or two from every fabric group, and then I did experiments into which of those had the lowest file times and file sizes and render times. And I found that wool cashmere and silk organza were actually the lowest scoring. So they had the lowest scoring render times and file sizes, and fur out of all of them had the highest, but out of all the furs, fur mink skin was the lowest scoring. So if you're going to use a fur, you should use that one. If you're going to use a material, you should use wool cashmere and silk organza. So the whole collection was made from wool cashmere and silk organza. And then within that, I tried to find which effects were the lowest scoring as well. So this was kind of, I said, my fabric card for it. So you see this wool cashmere with a metal effect, and I had this tech gold color. The render time for this individual piece was 3.13 minutes, and its file size was 304 MB. But then if you look here at the fur, you can see the difference. You can see the render time is 20 minutes and 51 seconds, and the file size was actually really similar though, 3.16 MB. So I think this is something that all digital designers can do when you're working in clothes. Don't just kind of take everything as you should use it. I think you should also be really aware of what you're choosing within these different software programs, because it's really under researched. And this is just my very quick graduation project experimentation into this. It's only just beginning for me, this kind of research into it. And I'm just I'm just one gal, and I don't have all the resources or the time or the money to look into this properly yet, but I hope that this is something that can be picked up on and done more, maybe it's more scientifically, I don't know, to get more solid results. But I definitely found if you had if you know Cloth 3D, but if you have a default fabric and then add silk organza preset on top, or wool silk organza, wool cashmere on top, that was the lowest scoring. So if you're into it, that's kind of what I found was the lowest scoring of them all. And as I showed you before, this was kind of a way I presented the information of the file size and render times. So for this image, was 4.90 MB and then 48 minutes, because it has all of this fur on it, so you can see how much longer that takes to render. And that brings up a whole topic of render times, which I know a lot of digital designers love rendering and how long it takes to render. But I think that's also something people don't know about digital fashion, was that you think it is very quick to experiment with different colors and different textures, but this kind of when you're exporting it to become an image or a video or an animation or whatever, this is an extremely laborious process. And I think that I think when I say I call myself a cyber tailor, or I think this new job role term is kind of popping up a lot, of digital tailor. Like, what does that new job role mean? I think in a sense you're like tailoring to a specific individual, specific thing, but what you might think of a tailor as like sewing and the suits and like whatever, you need a lot of knowledge to know that craft. And I think with digital tailor, you need all this knowledge about rendering and exporting, importing from different softwares, and there's so many, and lighting. Like, I had to, when you're a digital designer, you have to become your own photographer, which is something that I'm still learning. I'm definitely more on the clothes side, and so on the kind of photographer and like outcome side, I'm definitely still learning. But yeah, this kind of digital tailorship is something that definitely there's a whole new skill set that we're bringing in to define what that is. Yeah, I'll stop sharing so you can see me again. Yeah, I don't know if anyone had any questions about everything I'm mumbling on about. No, not yet. But yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to some of the people I've been working with over Helsinki Fashion Week. So yeah, as I said, Maku, she has a show on Tuesday, the 29th, and so I did a collaborative look with her, and I did some accessories for Mandeli Mandrilla, who was just on before me, and his show was also on Tuesday. And I'm currently making the runway show with Cornell, who's another digital designer, and so we're like, yeah, making the runway show for Roma, and she's also on Tuesday. So Tuesday's a big day for runway shows, and then on Sunday there's all of the digital designers have all of their individual shows. So definitely check out that one, and that's on my birthday, so you can send me a happy birthday message. But yeah, I think that's all I have to mention. I hope you all have a lovely Sunday, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the live streams, and please tune in for the Digital Village and all of the runway shows next week. And a big thank you to Helsinki Fashion Week. Okay, bye.